this. It's the late 1970s heading into the glorious 80s. Disco balls are spinning, leather jackets are squeaking, and car designers? Oh, they're losing their minds in the best way possible. On one side of the planet, Italy gives us a wedge-shaped spaceship called the Lamborghini Countach. On the other, America unleashes the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, a car with a literal flaming bird on its hood. You can't make this stuff up. 2 cars, 2 worlds, 1 question. Which one defined an era better? Let's start with the Lamborghini Countach because, honestly, how could we not? The Countach wasn't just a car, it was a poster, a dream, a geometry lesson gone wild. When it hit the road in 1974, it looked like it had fallen out of a UFO. Those sharp angles, the wedge nose, the scissor doors, this thing didn't drive into the future, it was the future. And under that wild, origami-like body, sat something equally insane, a naturally aspirated V12 engine. Depending on the version, it pumped out anywhere between 370 and 450 horsepower. That might not sound monstrous by modern standards, but remember, this was the 70s and 80s. Most cars back then struggled to outrun a strong wind, and here comes the Countach doing 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. It was loud, it was fast, it was unapologetically ridiculous. The Countach didn't just make an entrance, it made an event. Every drive was a spectacle. You didn't just park it, you landed it like a jet fighter. The visibility was so bad that Lamborghini test drivers used to reverse them while sitting on the door sill. You had to open the door to back up. That's not bad design, that's character. And sure, it was uncomfortable, unreliable, and hot enough inside to roast a pizza. But none of that mattered. Why? Because it was pure drama. The Countach wasn't made to be practical. It was made to make 12-year-olds fall in love with cars forever. Now, let's jump across the ocean to America, where subtlety was a foreign language. Enter the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. If the Countach was a spaceship, the Trans Am was a rock concert on wheels. It debuted in the late 60s, but by the late 70s and early 80s, it had become a full-blown cultural icon. Why? 2 words: Smokey and the Bandit. That black and gold Trans Am with the screaming Firebird decal across the hood became the car of rebellion. It wasn't sleek, it was bold. It wasn't delicate, it was loud. It was American confidence in car form. Under the hood, the Trans Am packed a big V8, sometimes a 6.6-liter beast, making about 220 horsepower. It wasn't about precision handling or finesse, it was about torque, burnouts, and looking cooler than everyone else at the gas station. And let's talk about that design. The hood scoop, the tops, the decals. It didn't whisper style, it shouted it through a megaphone. Driving one made you feel like you should be wearing aviators and chewing gum aggressively. But here's where the magic lies. While the Lamborghini was a fantasy for millionaires, the Trans Am was a fantasy for everyone. It was attainable muscle, the kind of car you could buy, customize, and take on a Friday night cruise. It wasn't exotic, it was personal. So now we've got 2 cars born in the same era but from totally different worlds. One said, "I'm a precision-built Italian masterpiece." The other said, "Hold my beer and watch this burnout." Let's compare their personalities. The Countach was the flamboyant Italian supermodel, difficult, expensive, but absolutely mesmerizing. You didn't drive it, you survived it. The Trans Am was your wild American buddy, always down for a road trip, a bar fight, or a drag race at midnight. The Countach made you a celebrity, the Trans Am made you a legend at the local diner. But which one wins? Well, if we're talking performance and shock value, the Countach takes it. It redefined what a supercar could be. Every modern exotic from the Aventador to the McLaren owes a debt to its madness. But if we're talking cultural impact and sheer cool factor, the Trans Am might have the edge. Because let's face it, how many cars can say they took down corrupt sheriffs and made Burt Reynolds a household name? So maybe, just maybe, this battle isn't about horsepower or price tags. Maybe it's about what these cars stood for. The Lamborghini Countach represented the dream untouchable, exotic, almost otherworldly. The Pontiac Trans Am represented freedom, rebellious, loud, and completely unfiltered. One car made you want to fly. The other made you want to race down Route 66 with a cowboy hat on. So I'll leave you with this question. Would you rather own the Countach or live the Trans Am? Because in the end, both cars remind us why we fell in love with driving in the first place, not for convenience, but for emotion. And that is something even time can't replace.